Go. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's webinar. We're going to be looking at the integration between Sage Intacct and Salesforce. So a nice, straightforward agenda for today. I'm going to give you a quick introduction, a quick overview of the integration, and then we're going to do a demo. We're going to look at what you can achieve with this integration between the two best of breed systems, and then there should be some time at the end for you to pose any questions. And I'll do my best to answer those on the call today. If not, we'll take those away and compile the answers and circulate those along with the recording of this session over the next couple of days. Okay, so I'm Gareth Bezant. For those of you that haven't met me before, I head up the operations, the Sage Intacct operations for Solutions for Accounting. I'm also a certified Salesforce admin, so over the years I have had quite a bit of involvement in that system as well as Sage Intacct. Okay, so on the screen now is just a few snapshot pieces of information about Sage Intacct, what the product is. A lot of this stuff actually is the same for Salesforce. So both systems were designed from inception, from that first line of code, to be native cloud systems. Neither of them have ever had an on-premise version where you've had it running on servers in your offices and then you've had somebody come along and rejig and recode it all so that it can work in the cloud. They have been written from that first line of code to be used in the cloud. Obviously, that means that you've got no on-premise hardware to worry about, on-premise software to worry about. You can run everything through web browsers, which means it works with Mac and it works with Windows as well. You can get onto them on tablets and phones, and as long as you've got an internet connection wherever you are in the world, you can get onto either of these solutions. They work on this best of breed concept. So Intacct is a financial management system. It's been designed from the start to be a financial management system. It's not trying to do anything else. It's not trying to be a CRM. So Salesforce is the same. Salesforce is a CRM. It's not trying to be a financial management system. First and foremost, it's a CRM. And you need integrations then between these two products to get the best out of it. So you've got your best in class financial management system, your best in class CRM, and then an integration between the two to marry everything up. And that's the same with not just Salesforce and Sage Intacct. There's a whole host of other best of breed products out there which have been designed to integrate with other best of breed products. So you make up your own ecosystem of best of breed products to suit your needs, rather than having a suite of system where you get everything, almost a jack of all trades type scenario, where you've got one system that's doing everything but nothing particularly well. Sage Intacct itself is a dimensional accounting system. That basically means that you've got a huge amount of granularity to your reporting. You can capture a lot of information on each of your transactions around who the customer is, who the supplier is, who the employee is, which market sector they're in. All of this stuff is all captured by dimensions, and then you can report on that. Now, the reason I mention that in the context of today is obviously you can capture that sort of information in your CRM as well. So source of the inquiry, for example, could be captured in CRM. That could be fed across to Intacct through the integration. And that means then that data is there to report on. So you could then look at financial performance based on sort of lead source, for example. Everything's done in real time. So your reporting is looking at real time data. The synchronization is happening in real time. You're not waiting for this overnight piece of code to fire off to synchronize everything up. When you create something like a customer, for example, in Salesforce, that is getting created in Intacct instantly. And both, of course, use this fresh, modern web browser-based approach to the interface. And both are subject to regular updates. Intacct is updated 4 times a year, Salesforce is updated 3 times a year. And there's constant improvements going into both products with that. So things like the interface get improved, gets changed. And actually this integration between the two products is constantly updated and constantly improved upon as well. It is actually the only integration which Sage Intacct have written and maintained themselves. So there's a marketplace out there to integrate all these other best of breed solutions into Intacct. The only one that Sage Intacct actually maintain themselves is this Salesforce integration. It's a bi-directional integration, so you can create customers, again as the example, in the one system, say Salesforce, and have that information integrated across to Intacct. Likewise, you could create your customers in Intacct and have that information fed across to Salesforce. When you're changing things on those records, again, that's synchronized. So somebody in Intacct updates a credit limit for a customer, that information is fed across instantly to Salesforce as well. Effectively, the reason for having this integration is to bridge the gap between the two products. And what I mean by that is your finance team are living, breathing, working in Sage Intacct. Your sales team are living, breathing, working in Salesforce. And you never want where the sales team have to log into Sage Intacct to find out some financial information, or the finance team need to log into the CRM to find some information out about a customer or a product or whatever it might be. The idea is that the integration synchronizes those key pieces of data across the two. So gone are the days of the sales team having to hassle the finance team asking for updates on, invoices, has this customer paid, what's their credit limit. All of this stuff can be captured and put into Salesforce through the integration, meaning that that conversation doesn't have to happen. It's bridging that front office, back office gap, if you like. As it said in that last point on the screen, it's error-free collaboration between your sales team and your finance team. Okay, so that is enough of my slides. We're now going to drop into a demo environment. If I can find the right tab, there we go. So I have got a Sage Intacct system on this tab and a Salesforce system on this tab, and they are linked together by the integration. I've said it's written and maintained by Sage Intacct, and it is, to all intents and purposes, treated the same as any other module within Intacct. So you purchase it along with the rest of your Sage Intacct system. If you don't need it, you don't have to purchase it, obviously. I've just realized we're in the wrong Sage Intacct environment there, so give me 2 seconds. We're not going to get very far without the right environment. Just hold fire for a second. There we are, this one looks a bit more like it. Okay, if I don't have them in the right order, I'll get all confused. Right, so now we should find that that is switched on. There we go, that's better. Okay, so this module, if you like, is written by and maintained by Sage Intacct. It lives on actually both systems, so there's information contained the Intacct company, configured within the Intacct company, but there's also a number of components and objects written into Salesforce. Again, it's all maintained for you. The systems are doing all the hard work there for you in updating things and configuring things in the background. But what you've got is the ability to customize and tailor it to suit your needs. You can choose, for example, what objects are being synchronized. You can choose which direction the objects are being synchronized in. So take products, for example. You want one source of truth for your products, one place where you're maintaining that master record of your products or your items, as they're called in Intacct. And you can choose which way around you want to do it. Are you managing everything in Salesforce and reflecting it in Intacct, or vice versa? You've also got flexibility around custom objects. So if you've got some custom fields, for example, on your item, a DUNS number or whatever it might be, you can create those custom fields within Intacct. You can create those custom fields within Salesforce and actually use the integration to map those custom fields together. You don't have to rely on the box fields that Intacct have written and Salesforce have written. And it's a simple process of picking the field on your Intacct side, picking the field on your Salesforce side, and then that system is literally going to integrate and map one across to the other as that integration fires off. That's the same across the board. So whether you're looking at customers, suppliers, or price lists or items, you've got complete control over how you're mapping not just those standard fields, but the custom fields as well. You can control again what you're mapping in terms of sales transactions. So if you've got your own custom workflow of sales transactions within Intacct, you can define which ones of those are being synchronized across, and again, which direction the integration's going. Is it going from Salesforce into Intacct, or is it going from Intacct into Salesforce, or both? So again, there's that concept of I create an order in Intacct, or I create an order in Salesforce is probably more likely. I then want to make an amendment to that. I want to add a line item for delivery, for example, within Intacct when it gets to the finance team actually creating an invoice for that order. And you can have that synchronization feed the information back to Salesforce as well. So you get that constant updating process. It's not a complete handoff of data, almost Salesforce throws the information over to Intacct for an order and then forgets about it. There's that continuous integration there, which we'll see, and also around payments as well. So you can record when an invoice has been paid, and the sales team are going to be able to see that, which we'll look at shortly. The integration also works with the contract module and the project accounting modules as well. So if you've got opportunities where you've got contracts, you can work those opportunities through on Salesforce. You put all your contract line items on, start dates, end dates, etc. That will in turn create your contract in Sage Intacct, and then you're able to use that contract from your billing billing schedules and your revenue recognition schedules as well. You can also create a general ledger synchronization. Now, what that is I've not got it configured on this environment. As you can see, it's not ticked. What that is the ability to basically post journals across from Salesforce into Intacct. And that was really born out of the not-for-profit space. So the idea that you've got huge numbers of donors creating huge numbers of potentially quite small value transactions, small donations, but a huge volume of small donations. You don't want to create a sales invoice for every one of those donations to recognize them in Intacct. It's simply a ledger process. So you can use process builders within Salesforce to fire off a ledger journal creation within Intacct. And again, as with custom fields, you've got the ability to your user-defined dimensions. So when I talked about having custom objects in Salesforce, you can have user-defined dimensions, which are effectively custom objects within Intacct, and you can map those together exactly the same way as you've got the ability to map your custom fields on the standard objects. On the Salesforce side of things, you've got a similar package. We'll just have a look at that. On the configuration side, there's a little bit you can do in Salesforce. It's more driven by what you do in Intacct, to be perfectly honest, but you can see how it's configured from the Salesforce side of things. So if you want to know which direction things are being synchronized in, you can see that here. So, for example, your product synchronization direction, that it's designed for the products to be managed in Salesforce to move across to Intacct. So you do get an amount of information within Salesforce, although the bulk of the configuration is done in Intacct. Okay, and again, you've got this ability to create your custom mappings and show the settings around that, and there's some release notes and things like that as well, just for you to see what's going on. Again, coming back to this concept that your sales team, the people working in Salesforce, perhaps your Salesforce admins, don't necessarily need to be connected into Intacct from a configuration point of view. They can see what they need to see here without having to have a login to Intacct, without having to hassle the Intacct admin for information. Okay. So what I suggest we do now is we'll just step through a simple, opportunity through to payment process, just so you can see the integration working in all its glory. So we have on our Salesforce a customer called Bob's Bakery, and Bob he's an existing customer, so he already has a record within Intacct. Just going to drop into the right entity. And we've already got a history against Bob. So we just find Bob in here. You can see that he owes currently this USA entity $197,000. If I wanted to look at that, we can see that we've got an amount of history against him. So this is his December statement, if you like, his movement. So we've had a couple of orders coming in, he's made a couple of payments, and they are actually all driven from Salesforce. And again, we can see the same information within Salesforce. So on that USA entity, we've got here his balance, 190. It's actually, we've got it a bit of a cross configuration here because we're using a US demo site, but obviously we've written the Salesforce side of things in pounds, but you can see the numbers are the same. We can see the sales orders that all relates to, and we can see we've got our December 1, 2, and 3s here are these 1, 2s, and 3s here. Now we've got information around the sales invoices as well. And if we actually go into one of these invoices, you can see that we've got the line, the quantity, the values. If we just view all here, you'll see that we've got the values broken out for us here. And we've also got the payment information as well. So we can see that this invoice was paid on the 8th of December. We see how much was paid, see what the payment method was, and we've got some reference information as well. So again, the sales team don't have to go to finance to say, has Bob paid that invoice? They can look at it in here and they can see that. So let's step through this process. We're going to create a new opportunity for Bob. We'll do it through order entry, so it's that sales order process. And we'll just pop an opportunity on. We'll call it December 4, just to stick with tradition. We'll actually put it towards the end of the process. Obviously, you've got control over your sales process from an opportunity management point of view here, and how your pipeline looks and how you step that through. I'm going to go into too much detail on that today. Close date in of today. A lot of this stuff you could have set up as pre-populated information, or you can update it on the fly. Now, all of this stuff is obviously synchronized across from Intacct. So if I created a net 45 payment term, so payment is due in 45 days, create that in Intacct, that is going to be available for use within Salesforce as well. So everyone's using the same information. So we've got an opportunity here. I'm just going to go ahead and pop a product on here. Again, we've got this idea that the price book in Salesforce is linked to the price book in Intacct. So get to the right item here. So when you're managing your prices, running your prices, you're creating these lists in one place, and then it's synchronizing across to the other. So I have 2 of those. And again, this could have been pre-populated. For now, we're just going to pop that in there. So you see, we've got this product of membership, sales price of 1,200, and there's 2 of them. I'm now going to close this opportunity as 1. So I'm going to step that through to close 1. And obviously that's saved that opportunity as a close 1 opportunity within Salesforce. Again, you could use a process here to create that sales order in Intacct directly, but what I'm going to do is do it manually. I've got all these various sales transaction definitions within Intacct that I've created. I've got all my posting rules set up to do what I need it to do within Intacct, and they're all available through the integration in Salesforce. So I'm going to create an order here. Again, this could all, if it's always going to be the same process, you can automate all of this. So close one automatically creates that order in Intacct. I'll just give it a few seconds to do this. I just want to do it in the front end just so you can see what's happening. And ultimately, it's picking up the information from Salesforce and then popping that into Intacct. So I can see here the information. It's capturing everything for me, the pricing, the quantities, the extended price. It's obviously put it into the right entity for me. Any additional information that I might have put into the system is going to be pulled out here. At a header line, you can see it's picked up the payment terms, and obviously the dates are all getting matched up from what we're creating within Salesforce. Oh, I need to set transaction currency. There we go. Okay, so that's told us there that we've created sales order 22. If I go into my Intacct system, you see we've got sales order here 22 from the 4th of December, or say 4th of December, December 4 of the reference. You see all that information there that we've just created. If I then convert that through to an invoice, again, that information is just copied across. That's your standard process within Intacct. And I post that now, and that's obviously going to have a bearing on my accounts receivable then to show that invoice is due for payments. You see what sales invoice here for December 4. And if I wanted to look at that in AR, I can see the corresponding invoice in AR as well here. See all the information pertaining to that. I can see that it relates back to that sales invoice in my sales order process. I can see the history that's come from there. And obviously it's been created by me because I'm the admin user here. What you'd probably do in a real system is you'd have your Salesforce user would be a separate user. So you'd be able to see at a snapshot then that it's been created from Salesforce, and obviously you can drill into all that information within Intacct. That information is of course reflected on Bob's account in Salesforce. So if we go to this Intacct tab again, see obviously his balance has now increased because he's now owes us that extra £2,400 or dollars. You can see that sales invoice is going to be here, December 4, invoice 915, details relating to it. Obviously you can customize these to show the details you want to see. So perhaps you want to have in big letters somewhere what the payment status is of that, or what the outstanding value is on that invoice. And of course, the information's all there. It's all held in Intacct and integrated across to Salesforce, so you're going to be able to see that. We'll take this to the next step, and we'll just receive a payment for Bob. We'll do it as a record transfer for Bob. Let's see, obviously we've got all the invoices that Bob's got out for payment. We'll just stick with the one that we're dealing with today, that December 4. So we'll receive a payment in full. Save that down. Obviously that's updated everything on our Intacct side of things. It's going to show that invoice now as paid. Paid in full on the 9th. Sales team want to see what the status is for that invoice within Salesforce. They're going to see it's been paid. Go into the details of that. See how much has been paid, when it was paid, how it was paid. Okay, so that's a very quick snapshot of what that process can look like. Obviously, we've looked at it just from the order entry point of view. As I said, you can use this with the contracts module as well. So if you've got systems where you're nurturing an opportunity where there's a contract involved, if you're a SaaS business, for example, you're going to pull all that information through, that sales process, putting together all your line items for your contracts, start dates, end dates, etc. All of that information effectively gets turned into a contract on Salesforce, which in turn creates your contract on Intacct. So I created a contract for Bob's Bakery yesterday. I've called it the December contract. Obviously, all the details around that are here. And you can see within our contracts in Intacct that we have contracts there. That's the one that we created yesterday. So you see it's the December contract, see it's in progress. I did nothing for the configuration and the setup of this contract within Intacct. Everything was done on the Salesforce side. For time, I'm not going to go through the full process of creating a contract with all the various start dates, end dates, etc. But you can obviously see the information is reflected in both systems. I've actually just put one line item on here. It's £120,000. It was billed or set to bill at start of contract, so it will bill on the 1st of January. And we've got a revenue recognition schedule as well associated with this particular product. So the system's doing all the hard work for me of creating that rev schedule for me. Down here, if I want to view that schedule, you can see it's going to recognise the revenue at 10,000 a month from January through to December. So again, it's using that best of breed approach for everything to do with your CRM within Salesforce and everything to do with your finance Intacct, and then having that mapping and integration across the two to mean that your various front office, back office teams are just working in their one platform rather than having to go into various other platforms. The fact that all that data is being captured and sent across from one system to another obviously means that you can then use that information in your reporting. So Intacct is hugely flexible and hugely powerful when it comes to reporting, as we know. You're capturing all that information from Salesforce, bringing it across here. You can then create all those dashboards, all those reports, etc., as you require within Intacct. Likewise, you can report in Salesforce. All this information is being captured and brought across to Salesforce. So if you want to look at your customers and you want to look at how much people owe you, you could create a report for that. So your sales team could see at a snapshot, you know, who their customers are, what their positions are from a how much they owe point of view, what their positions are from a credit limit point of view. Obviously, you could write reports for looking at comparisons between their current balance and their credit limit and do warnings and obviously create tasks and all that sort of thing from an account management point of view can all be built within Salesforce using the information that's being maintained in Intacct. So again, it's a really powerful and useful system. It's probably the best way of me putting it for your sales team. They're going to see everything they need to see in here without having to go to Intacct. I can't stress that strongly enough. Okay, that is what I planned from a demo point of view, just to give you a little snapshot on what you can do with the system. So as I said, we have now got a little bit of time for questions. So if there's anything specific you want